Hello, welcome to the studio. Today I'm going to be working on a couple of series of prints, and I just thought I'd give you an insight into the kind of thing I do in my studio as I'm going along working on a series of prints. I'm going to be doing what I call bits and pieces, I suppose. I'm adding anything in that I feel that each piece needs, each print needs. So that might be some painterly printmaking, it might be some line work, it might be adding some colour. So it just gives you an insight into the way I work on an ongoing series of prints. If you're interested in the way I work and you'd like to maybe try it yourself, I'm running a video course, the complete hand printing video course, and you can enroll on that via my website, ruthander.co.uk. It starts on November the 1st and includes all the videos plus 3 weeks support online as well. If you'd just like to see more, then do subscribe to the channel, and you can also go to my website, ruthander.co.uk, or follow me on Instagram. I'm at ruthanderprints. Thanks for watching.
So these are the small etching dry point prints that I'm going to be working on. So these already have monoprint on and a bit of collage already put into them as they went through the press and afterwards. And they were actually a mixture of plates. I used a photo etching plate and a carborundum plate and a dry point plate and collage. So I kind of threw everything at them. And then this is the other series of prints that I'm going to be working on. This is dry point etching, the line work dry point etching, and then collage papers put in as well. The same technique, the collage paper has been put in during the printing process. And this is the one I like the least, I must admit. So I'm going to do quite a bit of work on this one. So I'm going to be adding some monoprint on. So the first thing I'm going to do is roll out some really quite bright yellow, light bright yellow. And I'm just going to roll that straight onto one of the small prints here. I really need to lighten up this print. I'd like to lighten it up, so a nice bright yellow will do the trick. And that's just rolled straight on there and gives a bit of texture, a bit more energy and texture to it. And I'm just masking out the edges because I don't want loads of ink over the edges of the paper. I usually crop my prints down actually, so it's not too much of a problem, but I just didn't want to get it all over the paper, so I just mask over the edge there. And I'm just putting a bit of extra in the sky too. And then the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to use the same colour. I really like it actually, this bright yellow, and when it's rolled out thinly it doesn't seem quite as bright, it just gives like a real warmth to things. So I'm going to roll this out with the bigger roller, and I'm going to put some on the sky of one of the larger prints. So I tend to do that. If I'll roll a colour out, I want to use similar colours for quite a few of these prints. So I sort of have in my head what I'm going to do. I'll just keep that colour out and use it for various things. So again, I'm just rolling straight on, and I'm just kind of allowing the roller to kind of make its own marks. So there will be some quite strong lines in it, but there'll also be some very soft bits where the roller hasn't quite transferred the ink, and I just kind of go with that. I don't try and control it really at all. The yellow over that lovely soft orange at the bottom works really nicely actually. It looks quite different to when just rolling it onto sort of bright white printing paper. Just going to put a bit more on there, a bit more ink, get a bit more going. This roller's a little bit old now, so it's not quite as even as it used to be. So I'll just try and get as even a layer of ink on the roller as I can. Okay, so that's really looking quite yellow now. Possibly slightly too yellow, so I will probably put a little bit of white over the top of that as well. But I like that as a start. It really warms up the print. So I'm rolling out some white here, or very just off white actually, with my smaller roller again. I'm sparing you all the clearing up here, by the way, the cleaning up, the in-between bits, because they can be a bit boring. So I've got some light off-white here, and I'm just, a little tip here, there's a bit too much ink that I've rolled out, so I'm just going to roll a little bit of it off on some scrap paper. But the other tip to try and avoid really strong straight lines happening with the edge of the roller is just to get a little bit of kitchen towel or a rag and just take the ink right off the edges of the roller, and that stops you getting those really strong, definite lines caused by the end of the roller. So you can do quite a soft, the edges will basically be quite nice and soft when I put it on. So I'm going to go over that yellow. It's a little bit too bright there, I think. And this will just soften it down and hopefully make it kind of seem a little bit like there's light. Okay, so I have created a line kind of by mistake there, but I actually really like that, so I think I'm going to leave that in. Probably stop there. The rest of it is nice and soft, and it does, I think, look like light, sunlight coming through, so I'm enjoying that. So I'm going to use that same colour to add a bit more highlight, a little bit more light to this small piece here, this small etching that I started with, just rolling it on just a little bit, and again I'm letting the roller kind of do its own thing. I can't really control that. It's not a particularly flat piece of paper, that anyway, so it will pick up ink in a rather uneven way, and that's fine by me. Hopefully there'll be quite a few serendipity moments whenever I'm printing. I'm going to use that same colour again, and I'm just going to roll it onto the edge of this collage here, just to soften it up a bit, and also again to kind of imply light and the falling of light. It doesn't take much, it just takes kind of a bit of gesture to really kind of liven and energize a print up and to suggest light. So that's what I'm doing here. And there we go. So I am going to do quite a sort of painterly mark on this one as well now. So I've got some yellow. It's a slightly softer, more orangey yellow. And I'm literally just kind of painting it onto my surface, which is a piece of plastic, big piece of plastic, if you can't tell. And I'm just putting it on the way I want it, because I'm not going to roll this out. I am literally just going to press the paper on as is. Now, some of it will splodge and splurge, some of it might not print exactly right, and that's kind of the joy of it. And the other trick with this, obviously, is to lay the paper down exactly where you want your ink to go. So this is quite difficult to control, and you have to be quite careful about where you're placing it. And I'm going to use my Baron to just apply a bit of pressure, and I think, yep, that has printed just about in the right place. And a Baron is a tool specifically for the job of applying pressure, so it's quite good for this. Oh yeah, and that's really added something to that whole print. And one of the last colours I'm going to use is this sort of light purple, almost a kind of lavender colour, I suppose you might call it. And I'm going to add some of this to one of the small pieces, this one here. I want to cover up those kind of white marks at the top, which were a bit of a mistake. And I want to just add a bit of lightness as well. So I'm just rolling it straight on. Because this piece of paper is not very flat, it's already slightly buckled. It's picking up the ink in quite strange ways, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. I'm just going to add a little bit more there. And I'm going to just put some scrap paper on the edge to just stop it going absolutely everywhere, and then I can use the roller over the edge as well. And there we go. Now, I actually feel like there's a bit too much on there, so I'm going to take some of that off. And the way I do it is just by placing some tissue or scrap paper over the top and just pressing onto it. So you're kind of printing the paint off again. And I'm taking some off the bottom here as well. Okay. So that's taking some of the ink off, it's just softening it a bit. And I'd quite like some kind of lines as well, energetic lines. I'll see if that works. Yeah, kind of. It's actually going to be simpler, I think, to just literally scratch into the paint. There's enough on there. And there we go. And then I'm going to use that same colour to just go over some of that bottom part of this print here. So go over some of the red. I like purple and red. I think they really go together beautifully. So when I roll this on, it's taking some of the red onto the roller, and I don't want it to get too murky, so I'm just doing a couple of rolls each time. But I love those colours together. I think that looks great. And there we go.